Hello everybody and welcome to a special podcast simply going to be called Psychosis Podcast, maybe Psychosis Radio. Let me know what you want it to be called down in the comment section below. I am going to be joined by Earthmaster13, or as everyone by this point knows him, Charlie!
Pineapples.
Pineapples, yes. I guess that'll be the first thing he says on the podcast.
No. I'm going to say a whole bunch of random things, like gazebo.
Oh, Jesus. But,
Gazebo's a word.
For this, I decided I wanted to try and do a little podcast. Each podcast, it'll be like a different game or maybe a continuation of the game. This is my old file on Stardew, so I'm just gonna do this while he plays Spore. But a couple of the topics we only have two so far that we thought of, was future of VR gaming and talking about some of the new stuff involving Pokemon.
Yay. If there's any more topics, it'll just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, pretty much. We're gonna start off with Pokemon, something that Charlie didn't hear about, that I heard about, which was announced at E3, is Pokemon is going to have a core RPG released on the Switch. We do not, though, know when it is going to happen.
Oh my.
According to an article I read, within the next year we can expect new information, but that does not mean that within the next year we will have the games.
Oh my.
So there's a good chance that they actually might take the time and not rush a Pokemon game. That's right, Game Freak. I called you out.
Oh man, you're gonna get all the hate now.
I love Pokemon. I've been a fan of Pokemon since its release. I just don't like the idea that every game was released a year after the previous release. They need to take their time.
They do. They really do.
But other than that, like, I'm actually really stoked to see. Like, I don't own a Switch myself yet, but I am.
Right? Yeah, I know.
I have seen the graphics quality that it's able to do. Look at Breath of the Wild and some of the other games they have out there, especially Breath of the Wild, though. And oh my God, it looks fantastic. And with that new engine that they have at their disposal, they can bring forth Pokemon in a new light that has never been achieved before. Not even back on the GameCube with Pokemon XD and Colosseum.
Well, you see here, you got to think of it in a very interesting way. I'm not sure what that way is. Because, well, with all the possibilities they have, they also have to think, how might our fans want it?
Yeah, that is true. Like, they'll have to put in the thought of what to expect from the fan base as,
I mean, they've seen part of the fan base. They know part of it's messed up.
Yeah, actually, if I remember correctly, one of the lead guys, he put out a statement saying that if we let the fans decide what was going in to be a Pokemon, we'd end up with some pretty messed up creatures. And I was just thinking to myself, dude, you already have a lot of messed up creatures out there.
I mean, yeah, look at the little, like, that skinny ass cat that turns into a fat ass.
Oh, the one that turns into Pierogi?
Yeah.
The Mafia cat?
Yeah, the one that, Meowth ended up wanting to...
Oh! Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, no, I am kind of stoked to see what it's going to be like. I'm not going to be too picky. Oh, excuse me. Like, I have my reasons to be picky, but I'm not going to be like, oh, this is how it should have been, blah, blah, blah.
You're not going to be most people.
Yeah, I'm not most people when it comes to that kind of thing, but I am kind of excited to see what'll happen because, in all honesty, there's a lot of ways Pokemon can go. Like, you can't expect it to only be in one way.
I have high hopes.
I do, but I don't, because having high hopes is never a good thing.
I always have high hopes. No, I don't. I always have very low hope.
I'm trying to decide where I'm supposed to put all this stuff. But yeah, like, that's mostly all we had for Pokemon. Like, I'm hoping some of the creatures aren't gonna be, like, some of the Pokemon aren't gonna be too over the top in their design. Like, I mean, the only ones that... Oh, sorry.
So, with the new thing, with things like Guzzlord and all that, I want to see things like him implemented into, like, the Switch's thing.
Well, one of the things I'm intrigued. Well, I think they'll probably find a way to do like cross trade compatibility or something like that. It's hard to say for
I wouldn't
sure.
be surprised.
But one of the things I'm interested in seeing is whether it's going to be an original game or a remake done on the
there are
Switch.
a few games that I think should have a remake or another remake. I think Black and White could go for another remake.
Well, actually, the Black 2 and White 2 weren't even remakes. They were actually a continuation of that universe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They were a continuation of the universe, because you're not even using the same protagonist that you used in the previous Black and White.
Oh, wow.
And it's very interesting. Like, personally, I would... Like, we got Gold and Silver remade back on the... Was it the DS or the 3DS? I think it was just the DS. Heart Gold and Soul Silver. And those were actually really nicely done. But I would love... people would argue that Heart Gold and Soul Silver were also a remake for Crystal, but I would have loved for Crystal itself to get a remake, because Crystal technically had its own storyline, because your character, whose name actually is Crystal, was kind of almost based on the manga in a sense, because might have been the other way around. I'm not sure. I can't remember for sure. But she basically had a connection to Suicune. Suicune, when the 3 legendary dogs leave the burnt tower, stops and walks up to your character and then runs. And so I'm like, I would love to see that implemented with like these new graphics that we could be introduced. Crystal was
new possibilities.
Crystal was by far one of my favorite of all the generations, honestly.
I don't blame you.
It had such... compared to Gold and Silver, I feel like it had a much richer story.
Cool.
But, like, Heart Gold and Soul Silver were the remakes. They actually had a lot going for them as well, like... But, the Switch opens up a whole new possibility of games that Nintendo can start pumping out. And I am excited to see what else they'll bring us in the coming years.
I'm also not going to be surprised if we end up jumping back and forth with these two topics, by the way.
Oh, especially with the topic, the next topic being the future of VR gaming. Which we're going to move on to now. Charlie and I are both very into VR to the point where...
there's a full VR suit that exists.
Yeah, I heard about that, actually. I don't know too much about it myself, though. But one of the things I'm really stoked for is the future of mobile VR. Because, oh my god, the amount of people that says that mobile VR isn't real VR, it's like... Oh, it bugs me, because VR is VR. You might not have the same...
Virtual reality.
You might not have the same in-depth situation that you would with, like, a PC VR system. But, like, I have the Gear VR. And I've used that thing quite a few times. I haven't gotten a chance to use it for the channel yet, because I'm still missing one freaking component to properly record everything. But... I feel like it is VR. Like, yes, it's, once again, the Gear VR. It's something that Oculus put out. But it's also very, very much a VR system to me, because I feel immersed. I feel like I'm there when I play the game. And that
especially in the Minecraft one.
Yeah, especially in the Minecraft one. I did the Minecraft Gear VR edition, and oh my god. Well, actually, yeah, that video is up on the channel too, but my god, I felt so small. You really, truly...
only like, what, 2 meters?
Basically, yeah, like, you really feel the height of the character that you play as. Yeah. Oh, that is the wrong one. But
so when you see giant things like...
An Enderman?
Ender Dragon.
Or Enderman in general.
Or Enderman, you feel like, well, this is my life now.
Yeah, you feel like a 3-block story house actually does feel quite big when you're in it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't feel like, oh, this house is too small, I want it bigger. You're like, oh, this house is actually bigger than I gave it credit for. You feel small in that game, really. It's like, holy heck. But in terms of the VR that mobile is reaching, it's like Oculus released a move controller, a motion controller, so that you can actually play it as if you were playing on a PC one. So they have games out now on the Oculus store where, like, what was the newest one that I saw? It was like a zombie game, a zombie shooter. You pick up the gun, you're holding the gun with using the controller, and it's like, oh my god, look at where we're getting with VR and mobile. It's like
It's chaotic, really.
yeah, it's good chaotic though. It's chaotic good.
Chaotic good, chaotic neutral, chaotic evil. David.
But yeah, I'm really stoked to see where mobile VR will go. I will admit that mobile VR for iOS could definitely use an improvement. We still are very limited on some of the stuff that we can do on it. Most of the time, the only products I've ever found are still the standard, like, Google Cardboard clones, basically. And some of those aren't too bad. Like, some of them are pretty decent. One thing I noticed with mobile VR is sometimes that a lot of the games, let's go with Apple for a moment. A lot of the QR codes that come with your headsets, they don't seem to work properly. Like, they give you the QR code that the company provides inside the package with the headset. And basically what these QR codes are is some of the games on iOS and Android require you to scan the barcode if you want to, so that you can get it so that the resolution and all that is perfect for that headset. I have one, I think it's the Evo brand. It does not work properly. So I went through an entire list. I found a list of God knows how many VR headsets, and I tested out each and every one until I finally found one from a separate brand for that QR code that worked phenomenally. Like, it was one of the only ones that actually made me actually feel immersive. Because for me, one of the biggest issues that I've heard involving mobile VR is when you're using it, you're seeing both images as two separate images. Whereas typically what your brain wants to see, what you should be seeing with VR, especially mobile, is one singular image. It's always going to be projected on the device as two separate images. But what you're supposed to do is have it set up so that you're seeing one singular image. But a lot of the times that's not the case with mobile VR. A lot of times you cannot get that nice look of a singular image, and it's just such a pain when you can't, because then you're like, you don't feel like you're there. It all feels so fake. But once you get that as clear as you can, crisp image, you're like, oh, I'm here. I'm actually here. And that's also why I like the Gear VR. It's very simple setup to get it looking like that again. Anything you want to add?
My brain hurts.
It's a lot to take in sometimes.
I've noticed.
But yeah, that's all I really got for VR topic. If you want to mention anything.
Well, I'm gonna go back to that little Pokemon topic.
Back to Pokemon.
You know how I keep talking about that one creature?
Guzzlord?
No, not.
Oh, Necrozma.
Yeah.
Or however you pronounce it.
I'm gonna guess Necrozma or Necrozma.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just gonna say it Necrozma. With the fact that that can take over anything and everything, I've already told you, it taking over a Haunter. Yeah.
That'd be freaking awesome and terrifying.
That'd be awesome and terrifying. And imagine catching one of those with a Dark or a Master Ball.
Yeah, no kidding. Actually, on that topic about what Necrozma does. Oh, by the way, I'll probably have thrown up an image or something or linked it in the description of who we're talking about. But it was the one that was apparently everyone thought was an Ultra Beast in Sun and Moon, but it turns out he's not. It's that one that looks like a walking giant black gem.
Which is amazing.
But a friend of mine and I were talking about it and how we would love to see a game based purely around Deoxys, because Deoxys has not gotten a game where he was the main focus. And I think that would be pretty damn cool to see, because especially for the simple fact that Deoxys is a living virus Pokemon. He was a virus.
He is literally considered the DNA Pokemon.
Yeah, he is a virus. He was a spaceborne virus that was, according to most of his Pokedex entries, he was affected by a laser while he was in space, and lo and behold, he turned into a Pokemon. And so I could just...
I mean, humans can be Pokemon too.
I could just picture... This is where it gets interesting. I could just picture a game where Deoxys, for some reason or other, whatever the plot would have him as, is infecting all the slowly causing an infection around the world, where his body is morphing and infecting other Pokemon and possibly even humans. And I got the idea about that thanks to an artist who did a series like that on DeviantArt. It was called I think he called it his Infection series. I'll have a link down in the description below to it. But it's awesome because most of the artwork is like legendaries that have been infected by Deoxys, but there's also a bunch of like regular ones. And I'm like, this needs to be a game.
Anyway, as I was saying.
Oh yeah, I cut you off. I apologize.
Giant black gem, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause you see it in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It took over the two legendaries.
We assume. We don't know if it's a mutual or if it's
Well, it kind of seems like it would have, because it has his style.
Yeah, but we still don't know if it was mutual or if it was hey, you're mine now. I
was actually going to bring up Deoxys as well.
Yeah.
If it managed to take over Deoxys. Because with Deoxys being a spaceborne virus, it could spread.
That'd be...
Turning to the Infection series. And that plus the frickin' corruption that Deoxys obtained, that would go crazy, because so many Pokemon would be taken over
right quickly.
by Deoxys' infection and the Gem Dude's infection.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see for sure. Like,
it would.
I am actually interested in seeing what the story is going to be like. And one of the things I'm also intrigued is, it seems almost like they're trying to do a Black 2 White 2 thing with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Oh, really?
Because with Black 2 and White 2 were continuations of that universe or something along those lines. You weren't using the same protagonists. You were using completely different characters, and a lot of it's like, I believe it was similar to with original Gold and Silver. Original Gold and Silver took 3 years placed 3 years after Red, Blue, Yellow, and Green. Green being what we ended up with as for Blue. And so it almost seems like that was the case with Black 2 and White 2. I can't remember for sure, but it did seem that way. And it was very interesting. And if that's what they're going to do with this one, I would be not surprised. And honestly, I think that'd be freaking badass.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just excited to see where Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon go, because I don't know.
I'm still really interested with the thing being able to infect others, and if that thing is powerful enough to infect legendaries.
Oh yeah.
If it could infect things like the Ultra Beasts.
Hard to say. Like, if I remember correctly, it was stated that Necrozma, himself isn't an Ultra Beast, but apparently he gives off the same energy readings as an Ultra Beast.
I heard that too, because he also seems like he would be like a physical form of the portal.
Yeah, I can't remember. Like, there was a bunch of information that I'm trying to remember when I did research on him, and I just it's evading me right now. So we'll call it quits for the Pokemon topic for now. Never know if we'll come back to it. Terraria.
Ooh, yes.
Not so
Otherworld
much for Otherworld and 2. It hasn't been announced, but apparently it is something that's supposed to be in the works. Also, the whole idea that they're going to be putting out a creative update.
Oh, that's going to be fine.
But I came across that information before involving a creative update, and I like the idea of Terraria getting a creative mode, but from what I heard, it almost sounds like you won't have access to everything right away. You have to basically unlock things. And I'm
that
just...
sounds like a good idea.
It does, and at the same time, it's like, that sounds confusing. Oh, those are grapes, okay.
Because I'm pretty sure once you unlock the crafting table, there you go, all the recipes for that would be unlocked. Once you unlock the anvil, all the things for that.
Yeah, like, I could see it being that way. It's somewhat confusing at the same time. Like, some of the information gets all jumbled up thanks to, like, misinformation and all that crap. I hate misinformation. It makes it so hard to keep track of things.
Definitely.
But I'm also excited because there's still a lot of speculations on what Terraria 2 could possibly bring forth, and I'm really excited for some of the speculations because, and yes, like I said, they are speculations, so there's no guarantees on any of this stuff, but I would love them to find a way to introduce infinite-sized worlds to Terraria.
That'd be chaotic, like, if you, and like new biomes, so if you explore far enough, you can, and like little randomly generated towns, so you can find like a pirate town.
Oh yeah, like, give us like
That's
more things, like, yeah, that is what mods are for, but imagine like the doors that would open up for mods if you have all that stuff introduced by default.
Kind of like, I forget which mod it is, but where it has that dark portal.
Oh yeah, Bismuth?
I think so.
Oh, apparently broadcasting just started on my computer.
Okay.
I am broadcasting.
Just started?
Huh?
Just started?
No, like, I have Steam broadcasting enabled, and it just decided to start broadcasting the game.
Okay.
But yeah, no, like, Terraria is actually one of my favorite crafting survival games out there, at least for that style, like the art style and all that used. But I mean, I am excited to see where it goes.
Okay.
Like, there's a lot that you can do with Terraria, even with its quote-unquote limited graphics. They're not as limited as people might think, really. Like, compared to some games, yeah, you could say it's pretty limited, but I don't think it's that limited.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, excuse me. What was the other game I mentioned that we were talking about?
Pretty sure you just said
I said
Pokemon Infinite VR possibilities that could happen.
Yeah, that's a lot of VR possibilities. Pokemon Terraria... Oh, Terraria Otherworld we were going to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Otherworld. We haven't heard any new information other than who's working on it now.
Yeah?
And I'm still, like, really intrigued of, like, where we're gonna go with Terraria Otherworld, because it just looks so fantastic what they've shown.
It really does.
Like, I love the new art style that they're choosing to use, and I just like,
I'm pretty sure the only boss you see them fighting in the kind of like the teasers, is the Brain of Cthulhu, and holy shit, that's amazing.
Oh yeah, like the art style is just freaking fantastic.
I know.
I cannot stress that enough. Like, I'm excited.
I'm just wondering, how would things like the Lunatic Cultist, Gollum, Plantera...
Well, that's if they're even in there. That's even if they're in there, because Terraria Otherworld is literally, what was it? I think they were saying it was a literal other dimension or something.
So things could be a lot different, as you can tell with things like the giant freaking purification portal. Well, shield.
Yeah, the thing that protects your home. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what's gonna happen. Like, it's gonna be different for sure.
Definitely.
But
I want to see
it's interesting too, because not to cut you off again, but
it's okay.
It's not just. You mentioned that you're pretty sure it was the Brain of Cthulhu. That tells you that you're gonna have Crimson or Corruption doing the spreading. And that alone is going to be interesting. I don't even have close enough to upgrade my house again. Sorry, completely random and not to do with the podcast.
I have to say, like, for Otherworlds, the creature designs are amazing. I want to see some new creatures, though.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure we will. Like, I highly doubt they would do all of this and not bring us new creatures as well.
Yeah. One of the things I really want to see, though, is new NPCs, like...
I could see it, because we have new stuff that we have to construct, and everything that you build in regular Terraria has an NPC that is related to it in some way.
I want to see one named the Purifier.
Well, it might not be named a Purifier, but I could see an NPC having something to do with the purification stuff and all that.
Wouldn't doubt it.
I could see the Dryad getting a new character design, too.
Yeah, definitely. The current one is kind of, you know...
But yeah, I could see it. I could see a lot of things.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I forgot I had a little dino. Hello, dino.
You got a thingamabob?
I have a dinosaur pet. I forgot about him.
You have a dinosaur?
Yes.
You can get a dinosaur?
In Stardew, yeah.
How?
When you get the dinosaur egg, you keep it instead of donating it.
Okay. I never got a dinosaur egg.
Yeah, you can fish it up and it'll show up in those treasure chests, or you can find it in the mines.
I didn't spend much time fishing.
And once you find it, you keep it, and if your house chicken coop has an incubator, you can place it in the incubator.
Cool.
Well, there's your little trivia for Stardew Valley today.
My brain hurts now.
I just got jade out of a slime. But I think we're going to call it there for the podcast. Well, next podcast we will do a better job of making sure we have topics to talk about instead of continuing on about the same ones over and over again. So guys, thank you so much. What?
I like these topics.
Oh yeah, they're good topics, but I'm just like mentioning how like next time we'll have better not better necessarily, but more topics to talk about. Sorry guys, everything kind of froze up for a second there. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for listening in on Psychosis podcast or radio, whichever you want it to be called. We'll work out the kinks here and there before the next one. Thank you to Earthmaster13, aka Charlie, for joining me.
No problem.
And as always, do not forget to slice that like button. It helps show your support. And don't forget that you can suggest games or challenges in the comment section and down below. And as always,
Geometry Dash, don't rage.
And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Laters.
Yeah.